to the podcast where passion and purpose collide. We are on a mission to interview women and the occasional token man about how their passion and purpose have collided to create healthy relationships and profitable businesses. I am Elizabeth Denham, here with Rebecca Monet, and we are the co-founders of the Coterie for Women. And Rebecca, somehow we got a case of the giggles, but I think we've got it together now.
Hey, speak for yourself.
Well, we'll giggle our way through roses and thorns. How about that? So do you have...
I guess it's better than crying.
It is.
I actually have a couple of cute ones. You know, my thorn this week, I'm in Southwest Missouri visiting my kids and my grandkids, for those of you following my journey. And I'm interested in some investment property in Northwest Arkansas. So suffice it to say, I found a piece that I'm really excited about, but I needed an inspector to go look at it yesterday. And instead of me going down by myself, I have my granddaughter, my grandson-in-law, my daughter, and a 1-year-old baby. And we're all in this van.
You loaded them all up.
Right. Now, if I was doing it, I'd be down there in 45 minutes. The inspection would be done. Chop, 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 all would be done. But we got to load up everybody into the van, which means we have to take my daughter's car because it has a pumpkin seat for the little one. Suffice it to say, she's cutting teeth. She's got 2 teeth. She's a year old, and they're coming. So she's crying the whole way
of course.
down. and then we get a few miles down the road. We notice that the gas gauge is on E.
Oh, no.
So we have to stop and get gas. And of course, I'm a time management person. And then we get a few more miles, and all of a sudden the steering wheel kind of, gets difficult and locks up and is making a squealing noise. So we're thinking the whole car is going to blow up. And fortunately, thank goodness, we brought my grandson-in-law, because he's just really brilliant with cars. He pops up the hood, and it's some kind of line, or I don't know, to the power steering. And he says, easy peasy, all we need is this whatever, wrench or screwdriver or whatever he needed. And he made one phone call, and sure enough, they delivered whatever this wrench was that he needed, and we were back on the road. But
oh, nice.
Oh my gosh. That's
an ordeal. It's almost like a vacation movie.
It's kind of like
that's what I'm imagining as you're talking. Like
it's like, what next? What next? But anyway, we got down to the inspection, and everything was fine. But it should have been an hour drive turned into a 2-hour drive between all of this kind of hoopla.
Well, that is thorny. That is a definitely thorny a trip, especially with a teething baby. Everything is thorny with a teething baby.
I just felt so bad for her. Yeah.
It's funny. Hannah's wisdom teeth started breaking through like here and there over the years. And she just says, this hurts so bad and they're bloody. And she's just thinking something's wrong. I'm like, Hannah, this is why babies cry.
This is why babies cry. Yeah. Poor little things.
Babies and 20-year-olds with wisdom teeth. So what was your rose?
Those wisdom teeth. Oh, so I'm in Southwest Missouri, Northwest Arkansas. It's early October, and the trees are changing, Elizabeth.
Oh, so pretty.
Oh my gosh, so pretty. The red and the yellow, which in California, we don't have. So this is like a special tree.
You're evergreens all year round.
Yeah, and palm trees, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're beautiful, but not in the same way. And I'm really all about aesthetics. I like beautiful things around me, and I like nature. And so I'm just gawking,
Oh, how nice.
At the trees. They're so pretty.
What are the temps there?
Oh, well, right now it's in the 80s, but it's been a little bit cooler earlier this week.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah. So how about you? Tell me about your rose. Tell me about your thorn.
Well, my rose and my thorn, it might just be that you're letting your phone ring now.
Sorry. It's off. Sorry.
That's so funny. What the heck? You want to answer
Sorry.
it? We can take a minute.
No. Oh, I mean, this could be really private. It could be some hunky dude,
Oh, that's true. In the dating saga of Rebecca Monet.
In the dating saga.
Now I really want you to answer it. right. So my rose
I want to know about.
Okay. So we were, we got hit by a hurricane the other week, Sally. Mm-hmm. She's gone. I'm looking at debris 10 feet high on the street out here. Now the trucks are going around as fast as they can trying to pick it all up because we were kind of in the path of Delta. Delta is going to Louisiana, which is my rose because it's not coming here. But then I feel guilty because Louisiana's going to get it and they had Laura. So that's a double whammy for them. So it's either them or us getting the double whammy. So then I'm like, well, that's my thorn because I feel so happy and relieved that it's not coming here that I feel guilty about it. On the other hand, I'm so happy that it's not coming here that it's a rose. I'm just very conflicted about this whole hurricane situation. I don't wish ill for Louisiana, but I'm just so relieved not to have to go through that again. Then I feel guilty. It's like this vicious cycle. Every time I feel relief, I feel guilt.
Oh my gosh.
No, I'm just all over the place this week.
Yeah, a little roller coaster. I don't know. Let's weigh in on that because you had Hurricane Sally. It seems only fair that they get something too, right?
They already had Laura this year. Hurricane Laura hits Lake Charles, Louisiana. That's why I feel guilty because they're going to get the second one or we are.
Well,
I can't help but feel relieved, but I feel really bad.
It's like a ping pong game.
It is.
Of course you do. It's like a ping pong. You get one, they get one. You get one, they get one. So it's their turn.
I guess it is. If we're taking turns. I mean, ours was more recent. Here's the way I can relieve my guilt because I'm looking at things out my window that could come projectiles through the window, and they're probably cleaned up by now. Like, here's what the city is saying. The city's we have lots of little tiny Alabama towns, and they're sending out messages saying, try to put the heavy stuff on top so that when this hurricane comes through, all the little debris won't become a missile. And I'm thinking, and my friend was like on Facebook, she goes, yeah, right. Like I can rearrange my pile. And some of these tree trunks, or you can't get your arms around them. They're huge. So we can't lift. Thankfully, we didn't have a lot on our yard, but across the street, they have a bunch and they could just come, if a good wind comes, it could be tragic. So that's how I'll get over my guilt. We still have projectile, possibilities.
Guilt is not a beautiful emotion at all. I mean, yeah.
Well, it's not. But here's the other thing. I can't control it. It's not like I can feel guilty and change it. It is what it is. No. So.
And it's not your fault.
Watch it take a right-hand turn just because I'm glad it's not coming here.
It's Mother Nature that should feel guilty, not you.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So anyway, we'll see. Tune in next week to see if we got hit or not.
Okay.
And next week we need a dating report.
Okay, that's right. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has. So tune in. We'll find out more about Rebecca and we'll see if we have power. We will be back next time with Roses and Thorns. Welcome back to Where Passion and Purpose Collide. Today, Rebecca, we have a guest that we're very excited to talk to. Tell us a little bit about her.
Oh, I would love to tell you. Our guest today is Kelsie Ackman. She is the Vice President of Franchise Development and General Counsel for College Hunks, hauling junk and moving. She began her career in the fall of 2015 after retiring from a stuffy law firm. She began as a legal administrator for College Hunks and worked her way up to being a senior executive. Kelsie is a true Hoosier, as she was born and raised in Indiana and moved to Florida after attending Indiana University for 4 years and Indiana University School of Law for another 3 years. She has a true passion for helping aspiring entrepreneurs while protecting their investment in the brand. Recently, her two brothers opened a College Hunks franchise on the East Coast of Florida, and she loves cheering them on in their own business ownership journey. Welcome, Kelsie. We love having you here today.
Well, thank you guys so much. I absolutely love being here. I can't tell you just how honored and humbled I am to be spending time with you lovely ladies and talking about some things that are just so near and dear to my heart. Franchise ownership, my brothers, College Hunks, franchising in general. I mean, what could be better? So thank you guys so much for having me.
Good to have you. So as we kind to dip into your history. Can you tell us what this journey was from stuffy law offices to franchise development for College Hunks? That's like a big change. So tell us that journey.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So yeah, I mean, when I was in law school, and just a quick backstory on that, when I was an undergrad, I majored in criminal justice and had a couple different minors, one in business and one in Spanish, which I can't speak Spanish, so you'll see how that paid off. But I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I grew up. You know, it's that question that everyone is like, what am I going to do? And, you know, everyone's asking, and if you don't have an answer, you feel a certain type of way. And so I got an offer actually from the law school at Indiana University, saying if you had a certain GPA or higher, you could apply and interview and not have to take the LSAT. Ooh. And they were going to pay for a big chunk of it. So I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, this is perfect. A perk. Yeah. Yeah. So I did that program, and then I got to the third year in law school, and it's like, uh-oh, what am I going to do? Here it is again. It didn't go away. I still don't know. But all my peers were going into traditional law firms. And so I just thought, okay, I have to do that as well. So I kind of bounced around into some of the different, you know, areas of law that I thought, oh, well, family law will be really great, or, you know, litigation sounds super cool. I can go be a courtroom hero, and, you know, all of these different things. And I just never really felt at home. I never felt this fits, or, you know, this is an environment that I want to be in. And I remember the last day that I spent in a law firm, I had on a skirt suit, and I was ready to go to court. I had a hearing, and the owner of the firm said, no, we don't allow skirt suits, you know, for representing my firm in the courtroom. You have to wear a pantsuit. That's what's been established. That's what history has said you have to look like. And I just thought, man, this is just not for me. If I'm going to have to be told, you know, that you have to wear a certain thing, when we've come many, many, many years away from having that dictated, the dress code that is in the courtroom, I said, no, I just don't think this is for me. So I really went back to the drawing board, and I really did some introspection and said, you know, what's important to me? And I realized I needed to be somewhere that I was celebrated for our differences, and that for being a woman doesn't have to look like a man, or, you know, have a certain idea of what, you know, we're supposed to look like. And so I stumbled across College Hunks. They had a posting out there for kind of a legal generalist. And I was like, I can do this, you know, maybe I'll get my MBA, go back to school, you know, I'll figure something out, but this sounds kind of cool. And then immediately I just looked around, and I saw so much diversity. I saw people that, you know, all different backgrounds in all different positions. It didn't matter what you look like, or, you know, your demographics or whatever. It was just, it truly was a merit-based company. And I'm like, I have to be here. I want to stay here. I want to grow here. And that's what I've been able to do the past 5 years. And so I think the other thing that was recognized about me at College Hunks that was kind of a little bit more maybe oppressed in law firms was I have an extroverted personality, if you can't tell. I love to talk. I'm really energetic. And in law firms, it was like every minute that your head's not down billing, that's not a good thing. Whereas at my current company, culture is really like we literally live and die by the culture and getting along with people and making sure that you're enjoying your fellow coworkers, and that, you know, you have a good, you know, interaction and a good relationship with them, because that's really when the best ideas come from, when you're free to talk with your peers and have that open dialogue, and you have to feel comfortable with that. And so when the first, like, one of the meetings I attended, they're like, whoa, you spoke up, like, wow, that's amazing. And I'm like, yeah. So from there, they just really invested in me and gave me the tools and said, hey, create your own path.
So Kelsey, having worked in a law firm myself over time, it's so funny that you say that, because I did not articulate it the way that you did, but now that I'm hearing you talk, I felt stifled like that as well. Sometimes I would just be talking and I'd realize people were looking at me like, what are you saying? And then I would just stop and they would carry on. And I was like, okay. And I think it's interesting that you had a similar experience, because I do find, you know, in the franchising culture, I'm not in that business, but I'm in the world, covering it in the magazine and in the podcast, you are celebrated. You are encouraged to build those relationships. You are encouraged to talk and be yourself and tell a good story and relate to people in that way. So I could see why you really felt liberated when you got to do that.
Yeah.
So have you been given a lot of latitude, and you had touched on that in creativity and creating your own path, and do you feel totally free to try anything?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you nailed it, you know, when you said that it's all about relationships, because franchising is all about relationships. It's relationships, building a relationship with a prospect who's evaluating your brand. They need to feel comfortable with you. You need to open up. You have to show the humanness, not just, I am a robot, this is what we offer, and this is what you're buying. You know what I mean? It's like, no, we need to get to know each other. We need to make sure that we connect, and that, you know, you need to feel comfortable calling me, and I need to feel comfortable calling you. And I'm really big into relationships. And so that's something that they don't teach you in law school. And it's not surprising that law firms do kind of feel a little bit more stuffy at times, because they don't talk about interpersonal skills in law school. If I had, you know, all the money in the world and I could just go work on things, I would like go back and develop curriculum for law schools and even probably in college, because I do think that social skills and customer service mentality is something that is kind of missing. And especially as we have social media, we have more technology that kind of can be a divisive tool, although, you know, obviously can help us feel connected. It's really not connecting us like on that deeper level. And so, you know, with my current, you know, role in College Hunks, I am encouraged to make sure that we are keeping up those relationships with all of our franchise partners. It doesn't matter, you know, right now we have about 150 locations, but we want this same like family type feeling with our franchise partners, even when we get up to 500 franchises and beyond. You know, we never want that part to go away. And so I have to coach and mentor, you know, my teams to make sure that, you know, before you have any caller, the first thing that you need to do, you know, when you're talking to anyone in our system is like, how are you? What's going on with you? You know, tell me what's going on new in your life. I haven't caught up with you in a while. Not just getting straight to business. Hey, this is what we're here for, and this is what we're going to talk about. And I think that goes a really long way, because people know that you care about them. And, you know, it's like that saying that people will, you know, they may forget what you said or did, but they're never going to forget how you made them feel. So I like to talk to my team about, you know, the relationship building components and making sure that that's continued on, you know, whether I'm here, there, or wherever, that's the legacy that I want to live or leave in my role.
What a beautiful legacy. And have you be so young and already know what you want, the fingerprint you want to leave behind, right? Yeah. But you've been talking kind of around this idea of culture, and how you just kind of embraced what College Hunks offers. Can you more clearly define what you mean by culture, and the culture that is what we call College Hunks?
Yeah, absolutely. So, in College Hunks, when I was always kind of shocked by that too, because when I first, like, I was just there interviewing, and I walked in and it was so loud and buzzing and energy, and I felt, oh my gosh, what's going on? I got to be part of this. Because like I said previously, it was like head down, super quiet. You could hear a pin drop, almost like, oh gosh, am I walking too loud? And, you know, coming in, I'm like, what makes this so special? And I think it's because how much we really, truly live our core values. We aren't just the company that's like, oh, you know, we're just going to stick up a poster on the wall and say, oh, we have these great core values. No, we actually talk about them every day. We live them. We celebrate them every single day. This is my favorite part of the day. We have an all team, basically we call it a huddle. So if you think like sports, it's kind of like we all get together and pump each other up. It's at 11:11, which is a good luck time and kind of on the upswing of the day. And we talk about, hey, we share stories where we recognize others for living our core values. So it could be our franchise partners, it could be a teammate, it could be a vendor partner. anyone that we looked at and, did something above and beyond. So one of our core values is listen, fulfill, and delight. And listen, fulfill, delight is going above and beyond. So not just, being asked for something and delivering that, but going one step, above and ahead of that and saying, not only did you ask me for this, but I also gave you this, or I did this as well, because I probably knew that was your next step. And it really is creating like that wow factor, like, wow, you just really moved my world. That's our true vision, is to move the world, and really what we want to be known for, emotionally, not just physically moving stuff, even though we're a moving company. And so when we see that being lived every day, we take the time to recognize it. And I think a lot of the time, sometimes people feel like, oh, if I give someone a compliment, it's going to take away from me. And it's like, no, when you light other people's candles, yours is still going to be lighting. And I think just celebrating each other, that's really how you build an environment and a culture where you have that team mentality, and you're all in this together, and you have shared goals that you all want to win and help each other win and get there, not just this individualized self, before everybody else. It's a team before everybody.
Well, and it's such an amazing, oh, sorry, Rebecca, go ahead.
No. Yeah, it seems like I remember hearing you speak at a conference, and the HUNK actually has some meaning behind it. Is it something you can share with us?
Yeah, I'd love to. So HUNKS is an acronym, and it actually stands for Honest, Uniform, Nice, Knowledgeable Service. So I qualify as a hunk. Everybody out there that may not be considered a stereotypical hunk, under that definition, is certainly a hunk. So having that passion to really go above and beyond and help people get through stressful situations. A lot of the times, moving is associated with a death or divorce. Same with junk removal, estate clean outs. And that's really devastating times for human. And so, we want to make sure that we're remembering what our customers are going through. And so we are providing that just service that is careful and cautious and sensitive to what, our clients are going through, and help them have a completely stress-free experience. The last thing you want is to have stress on a moving day or a junk removal clean out. You should be able to just sit back and kick your feet up and let the hunks do all the work. So that's what we strive to aim for.
Oh, I just love that. And I was going to touch back on too, this all plays into it, but the mentorship that you're giving, regardless of your franchisee's previous experience or your employees or wherever they are in life, I think that so many people do put that poster up on the wall, and they hint at them, or they might write about them in their marketing materials. But to have that articulated and verbalized every day, I think that's when it starts to really become a true core value that is at the core of who you are. And the fact that you're, teaching these communication skills as a part of the culture, you can go through a lot of life and not have great communication skills. So it's not even that you're teaching young people, you're just teaching all of the people. And I tell you what, in the franchising world, to speak to that larger culture, I have had the experience where people have called me up and didn't have anything to talk about business-wise. They just call to check in and say, hey, how's it going? That has never happened to me in any other industry I've worked in, ever. Nobody, Stan Friedman comes to mind. He's one who called me out of the blue and just said, hey, calling to check in, what's going on? I kept waiting for the question, like the business question, and it never came. And I was like, he just called to check in. I mean, how meaningful is that? And it sounds like that's the kind of attitude that you guys are promoting within the whole system. So I think that's just remarkable.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And actually, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was really such an appealing factor that I recognized in College Hunks, not only actually just in College Hunks, but in franchising in general. So, I was used to this kind of like, oh, I'm always competing against you, so I'm going to do whatever I can to get ahead of you, and I'm going to cut you down. And I remember actually one of the opposing counsel in one of my hearings was so mean to me that the judge actually removed them from the hearing, and we had to continue it because, they were so demeaning. And I just remember being like, what? Like, you do not have to act like that. That's not even professional. And so then coming to College Hunks, we have this community of like, how can we help each other? Like, even though we do give out awards for top performers, and we're always kind of doing these like internal games to keep them, friendly competition and fun. I remember one of our newer franchise partners, I guess been there for like a few years, but it was like broke all the records, like previous held records for average job size or gross sales in a month and whatever, all these other cool things. And there was someone else that came in probably like a year or so after him that had a really great start. And he called him up. He called the person up and said, hey, I'm going to teach you how to beat my record. And here's what you should do. I know. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. And I think just that pay it forward mentality that we're able to develop and, kind of cultivate within our system makes I think our brand so special. But I do know, and I saw that when I went to my first franchise conference. It was an IFA, it was a legal symposium. So, it's all franchise lawyers and even different brands, were like, hey, think about this. When I was like, essentially, obviously newer to franchising, they're like, hey, here's some resources you should check out. Make sure you're doing this, look into that. And I'm like, what? You're helping me become a better lawyer, a better franchise lawyer, even a franchise professional? This is amazing. I was just so blown away. And even to this day, we have an email group with all different people in my position in other brands. And we're always sharing messages, asking questions, getting advice, tips. And I love that. That is so unique to, I think, franchising in general. And that's why I just absolutely love this industry. And I can't imagine going to any other industry, just because I do think franchising is so special. And that's the power of it. We have conferences that just seek to promote relationships within the industry. And it's not surprising that, you got that call just to check in on you and say, hey, how are you? I think it's genuine. I know it's genuine.
It makes your day. I mean, I that was months ago and I'm still talking about it.
We love Stan Friedman.
Well, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So it's clear you have a love affair for franchising, as do we. I've been in it for 27 years and there is nothing like it. But there's also something very interesting about you. You got incredible amount of energy and optimism and passion. Are you always this contagiously happy?
It is contagious. I feel happier already.
I am too. My notch of happiness just went up by a bunch of
you guys are making me blush now. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I kind of am. And I think, what I realize is that you only get one life to live. Like, we really are only gifted one life. And so any moment spent sad or depressed or angry or anything not positive and happy is just kind of a moment wasted. And so, I think the journey of life is to find something to do where you feel fulfilled every day, you feel energetic, you get energy from others. I'm a big energy from others, so you guys are making my energy level be so great. Yeah. And so, being able to work, like I said, with incredible people that I'm surrounded with every day, lovely ladies and, leading women in the franchise industry like you guys, I think just really does light my fire and makes me so excited. And I think that's kind of what it's all about is, making sure that you are just living the best life you can live and being happy every day. And, it doesn't really feel like work if you're loving what you do. I love that, that kind of quote or saying, you never have to work a day in your life once you find something you love. So I try to just make sure I'm spinning, anything that can come up. Of course, life's not always sunshine and roses, we know, but try to find the positives and negatives or learning lessons. I think anything that maybe didn't go as planned, I just try to think, okay, what did I learn from that experience and how can I be better next time it comes up? So
when you made this transition, I'm just curious because you are so positive and so upbeat. Was it scary for you because those, especially at that young age, how old you were in your 20s when you switched over, in your late 20s?
Yeah.
So how at that age do you gain the confidence to make such a large change? Because you've got expectations of yourself, you've got expectations of your family and friends. You've told everybody, I'm going to go to law school, I'm going to be this lawyer. Now you're saying, this isn't what I thought it was, not loving it, need to move into this other direction. So did you have that kind of fear and trepidation, or did you just plow right into it?
Oh man, I was so scared. Yeah, 100%. I remember And I mean, so my dad, you know, comes from like a more traditional sort of upbringing. And okay, so if you go to law school, you're going to be a lawyer in a big firm, and this is what you're going to do, and you're going to build, and you're going to be a partner and whatever. And when I told him, hey, I'm quitting and I'm going to go work for this company, College Hunks hauling junk, he's like, what? Like, whoa, what are you doing?
Mind blowing, yeah.
Can't even imagine.
Yeah. But I just always, you know, have this intuition, like if something doesn't feel right, you have to make a move. Like, I don't care how scary it is. I don't care. I just think you need to put yourself out of your comfort zone. And, you know, even when I moved here from Indiana, I didn't have a job. I didn't know a single soul in Tampa or Florida, really. So I think that, and I would recommend this to any person, like if you can do it, you know, make that jump out of your comfort zone, because it does show you how resourceful you can be, and your survival instincts are really just going to kick in, and you kind of have to just go into something new that's like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. But when you look back, you're like, wow, I'm so proud of myself. I can't believe I made this work. And so yeah, making that shift was incredibly scary, but also so rewarding. And I mean, even jumping, you know, I still, obviously half of my life is spent in legal world, but also now, you know, growing the franchise development sales team also has kind of challenged me and pushed me to not just use my lawyer brain, but also my business brain, which I think was, you know, kind of underutilized when I was in the legal field. And so that's also been a fun, you know, exciting thing. But of course, you always have those like worries, oh, am I doing this right or whatever? And like I said, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, if something doesn't go right, you just learn from it and you don't do it the next time. And you try to just continue on, and just know that at the end of the day, if you made the best decision that you thought you could, that's how you can sleep at night. And so I always just try to remember that, like, if something doesn't go right, I'm like, you know what, at the time, that's what I thought was best. And I don't think anyone can ever be mad at you if you genuinely are trying and doing your absolute best.
Great attitude. I wish more people would step outside the comfort zone, because true growth, personal growth, spiritual growth, professional growth comes from stepping out of our comfort zone and taking risks. And fortunately, you have a very strong intuition that lets you know when something isn't right for you. So you're willing to step out of that. And to Elizabeth's point about, you were young when you made this massive decision. The College Hunk team is also quite young. Is that correct?
Yeah, you're right. It is. You know, my owners are in their, I guess, late 30s now, and, you know, but started College Hunks right out of college. They didn't let grass grow under their feet to get started. And I think the principles that they've carried on and have been continued on through our evolution of the brand is that it doesn't matter your age, your race, your gender, your anything. The best person is going to be promoted, you know, to that role. And it, you know, sometimes I do have to pinch myself, like, wow, I was in my 20s when I got a vice president title. Like, wow, that doesn't happen. And even, you know, I look at other boardrooms sometimes of other companies and I don't see a single female. And so I have to say it's really interesting. We have 5 senior leaders, you know, on our executive team, and 3 are females. Our leader is from Jamaica, and you know, then we have another younger man who's gay, and it's like, it doesn't matter. We are the absolute strongest, best team, and it's just picking the right person for the job, regardless of what that looks like. And I think that's what makes us so special and cool, is that none of those factors have just ever been at play. And I, you know, my owners have always thought that way. It's like, I don't care what you look like or do or anything like that. As long as you're the best person for the job, you're going to get it. And so that's true, like, meritocracy, I think, at its finest. And I love that about College Hunks.
Yeah, I've obviously known Nick for quite a while, and he is a phenomenal leader. And you're right, a great talent scout, right, and a great talent developer. And you're right. It's amazing when we take off our biases. We drop that screening and just say, who's the best talent. They don't have to be tall or short or male or female. None of that matters at that point. Who's the best talent for this particular outcome that we have for this franchise organization? And you have assembled an incredible team.
Well, absolutely. When you think about it too, when you eliminate groups by bias, you are reducing your talent pool by a lot. You know, if you tend toward all men, or you tend toward all white people, or, you know, whatever it is, you know, like Rebecca says, tall, short, whatever, the pool is so much smaller that could be filled with creative, smart, energetic, fun people. And so I love that you have such you could like the poster children for inclusion and excitement and energy and, you know, that youthful attitude and culture. I think it's really
youthful.
Yeah.
And that's a good word, Elizabeth, it is useful, because the youth will take risk and see things that, you know, older, supposedly wiser don't always see. But I have one more question, because sorry, I'm a baby boomer, so I can say these horrible things. I want to talk about your brothers.
Yes.
You put your brothers in this business. So that says a lot about the business. It says a lot about you, but talk to us about your brothers.
Yeah, my favorite topic ever. So yeah, you know, they are just, I mean, they're honestly such a bright spot in my life. And so they actually lived with me when I first moved to Florida. They came down about a year or so after me, and also kind of reestablished themselves down here and tried to make, you know, a really great life for themselves. And they would come home, you know, we would all come home for the day, and I would just be bursting at the seams about my job and, oh, we got to do this and we're doing this and whatever. And I'm seeing franchise owners, and they're so excited and they're passionate and they're making all this money. And they're like, well, I want to be a franchise owner. Like, I love College Hunks too. Like, let me be a franchise owner. And I'm like, no, you guys just started working. You know, you don't, you know, you can't, you gotta get some experience for yourself. And so they would beg me, they literally begged me, and they begged me to the point of like probably after a year or two where I was just like, okay, I've run out of excuses. Like, I love this brand. I love you guys. You do have all the qualities and characteristics that it takes to be successful. I know you guys are going to work really hard, and I know you're going to do what it takes, and you're going to enjoy it. And so finally, they came, they went through the process, got their location. They actually moved to the east side of Florida for this opportunity because we're all sold out of territory in and around Tampa, which kind of broke my heart a little bit because I missed them so much. Yeah. And so, so they opened, I mean, guys, literally right in the heart, you know, right when COVID was really, really starting to hit, and, you know, shutdown orders were taking place. That was supposed to be their first day. So talk about, you know, anxiety and fear, and oh my gosh, call them. They're like, don't worry about us. We got this. We're going to trudge through it. This is adversity, and this is going to make us stronger. And man, they have come out of the gate so strong. I didn't mention this, but I'll mention it now. So my parents actually went to go visit them, and it was just supposed to be for a weekend, and it's been 4 months, and they've never come back to Tampa. So they're now very involved. I always tell this, like, College Hunks is so contagious when we have prospects coming in saying, oh, well, you know, the wife or husband may say, oh, I think I'm just going to, you know, maybe help on a weekend. I'm like, nope, you're quitting your job. I guarantee because it is just so fun and it's so contagious. And so, yeah, they've built this little family business over there, and I love living vicariously through them and watching them become, you know, young entrepreneurs. And they really are just hardworking and doing incredible things, and such brand lovers, such brand ambassadors. And I'm so proud to be part of their journey.
Wow. Well, Kelsey, I think you are a great brand ambassador, because if everybody watching doesn't want to, you know, hook up with the Hunks, then they're missing out on something. So tell everybody how if they're interested, how they can reach you. What's the best way to find out more information about opportunities with you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you go ahead and put in Google College Hunks franchise, that should pop up our landing page. And there's a contact form right on the first page. Go ahead and put your information in there, and we will be so happy to get to you. And really looking forward to talking to anyone looking to join a super fun, experiential brand that's growing, thriving in the middle of a pandemic. We're really just seeing amazing things with our franchise partners and are actively looking for just the right fit of franchise partner for our brand.
Thank you, Kelsey. Well, I'm leaving this conversation 100 degrees higher in my happiness quotient.
Me too.
And we're so glad that you could join us today, Kelsey.
Well, thank you guys so much. It's really been an honor and so fun talking to both of you. We have to do this more often. So.
Absolutely.
We'll have you back.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys both so much.
Welcome to Women in the Know, where we discuss everything from politics and policy to relationships and marketing. We learn lessons from our guests, from our viewers, and from our coworkers that we try to impart to our viewers so that we can all learn a little bit from each other. Rebecca, today's topic is kind of a cool one, and it bounces off of our last guest, who is Kelsie Ackman from College Hunks. And she talked about following her inner voice to make a major career change at the age of maybe 27-ish, somewhere in there. And I think that that's such an interesting thing, because to do such a big shift at such a young age, I think is unusual. And I think all of us struggle with listening to that inner voice gut feeling that we should be doing something different from what we are doing. Have you experienced that kind of conflict, that inner voice?
So I think, to your point, Kelsey is very unique in that she spent 7-8 years becoming a lawyer, right? There's a lot of prestige, a lot of status that comes with it. That's a career path. And then based on an experience where she was critiqued for wearing a skirt to court, she said, "This is not for me." She was told to wear pants, plus a few other things that her gut told her lawyering wasn't her cup of tea, and she took the risk and now is in sales, right? She's in franchise sales and doing really, really well. So it is rare for someone to do that and to listen to that inner voice. But I think you're right. I think we all have it. I can think of many times when I have listened to it and sometimes thought, what the heck am I doing? But it was right. And other times when it was speaking to me and I ignored it because I was getting logical and pragmatic or whatever. But my moving to California was an inner voice thing. I was in New Jersey at the time, and I was working in a deli slicing meat. And this guy comes in and he's randomly just sort of talking. And he says, I'm moving to San Diego. I didn't know where San Diego was. I didn't know what state it was in. I was clueless. I was in my 20s. And I said to him, take me with you. I knew I needed to be living in San Diego. Now, he never came out and we never became friends, but I knew the minute I heard that word that that's where I was supposed to be. I didn't know it was on a beach. I didn't know anything, and I've never doubted that since I've been in San Diego. And there's been other times I've had that inner voice speak up and I go, no, it's not the right time, or it doesn't make sense, or so it's a tough one to truly trust. But when we do, it seems to work out, right?
Well, it does. And it's funny how when you don't listen to it, I was in a job one time that I started to see going downhill with the relationships with the people. And there was a moment where I thought, I need to get out. I need to quit this job and get out of here. And I didn't do it because we have 5 kids, kids in college,
right.
It's not a practical thing to do. And so I just thought, well, I'll get out, when I have something else or when I've made another plan or whatever. And I ended up getting fired from that job, but I knew I needed to get out. And I didn't do it at that moment. So then it turned into this thing that was much more unpleasant than it could have been if I had just left when I knew that I needed to leave. And I think that she just tossed that risk to the wind and did it. And maybe, who knows if I had gotten out sooner, if, things would be further along in the things that I'm doing now. Although I'm not, regretting it, because now, I met you and everything's worked out just the way that it should. However, I knew something was not going to be good with that job, and it wasn't.
Something was telling you.
Something was saying this is not a good place for you. And clearly that was the truth. So I think we all have those moments where we think this is not right, in relationships, romantic relationships, in job relationships, in your friendships. Sometimes I think you tend to know what the right answer is. And when you don't follow it, to me, it seems like things go downhill quickly, and then you're kind of forced into that decision.
Yeah.
And then it's unpleasant.
I know.
You just make the decision.
Directions.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's both directions, whether it's something to get away from or towards. You kind of know when you should get out of a situation, like what you described with that job. And for me, it was moving towards something. I knew, even though I didn't know where it was or what it was, I just knew I needed it.
You knew it was the right direction. Yeah.
It was the right direction. I was willing to take that risk. But I think fear, and this is where Kelsey is very unique. She felt the fear and she did it anyway. Yep. She talked about the crazy fear she felt before she jumped from being a lawyer to going to College Hunks. But she so strongly believed it was right that she basically said, I'll eat the fear, and I'm going to do it anyway.
Well, and I asked her that question about was she afraid when she did it, because, or did she think it was scary or whatever it was, because she was so on the ball and she was so sure, and she followed that intuition so clearly. I thought, I hope you were scared, because then you would be not human.
Right.
You would be superhuman if that kind of change didn't scare you. So I was like, oh, thank goodness she was scared, because I would have been very nervous to have that conversation with my parents, or, to make that kind of a shift and all these expectations that are changing. So I was relieved to know that she, she was not superhuman.
Yeah,
she's so impressive.
One of us.
Yeah, I was like, oh, shoot.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. I felt the same way. Like, please tell me you were scared.
Yes, tell us something, because she was so sure. But I think that's what's appealing about her, is that she was so sure that in spite of feeling fearful, or in spite of difficult conversations, she did what she knew was right for her. And I think that's an admirable quality that we should all aspire to.
And I think it's something, like you said, we need to aspire to, emulate. But I'm also curious, from those that are listening, tell us things where you've had a gut feel, and what happened when you followed that gut feel and when you didn't. I'm very curious to how accurate this gut feel or inner voice is. But tell us your stories. Elizabeth and I would love to hear them. Put them in the chat below, or reach out to us directly. We'd love to hear your stories. But for now, we got to kind of wrap up this segment and look forward to the next Women in the Know.
The Franchise Woman is a bi-monthly digital magazine that empowers women as they navigate the franchising industry by providing relevant news, tools, advice, and inspiration. We are a resource for women who are seeking to own their own businesses, improve their existing businesses, find creative solutions, and take advantage of franchise opportunities. We feature women in the business who best exemplify our ideals and have something to teach our readers. In addition to our exclusive articles relating to the female entrepreneur, we also feature brands that are geared for women. Women have become the fastest growing sector in business ownership and have become a powerful, influenceable force fueling the economy. The Franchise Woman will give you the news that is relevant to you to help you navigate the path of successful franchise ownership. By women, for women, and about women. We are the Franchise Woman. Join us today at www.thefranchisewoman.com.
Welcome to Ask Beck and Liz, where no topic is off limits. We want to answer your questions about business, life, and everything in between. If you have a question for us, send it to ask@beckandliz.com. That is ask@beckandliz.com. So, Elizabeth, the question today is around this idea of happiness. I just found it so interesting that Kelsie Ackman of College Hunks made being happy a priority. So can you give me your thoughts on that? Is it really a priority, and why is it a priority?
Well, I think it's interesting because we were talking before we went on the air that she thinks about it a lot. She, every time, she's so positive and so energetic and so upbeat. And she says, it's not all sunshine and roses. I know that, but every time that happens, I try to think, what can I learn from this? This is just getting me to the next step, and what I'm going to do, what makes me happy. And she made that life decision to change careers because it made her happier to do something in franchising than it did to be a lawyer, in the private sector. So I think that it is important. And I think that when you have that attitude, and that's what I've been trying to adopt this year with my little tornado of joy, is to find the joy in the crap, basically, because it's been a very difficult year for all of us. And we've had some personal difficulties with, child custody and different things. And so finding that joy sometimes in the midst of feeling pummeled by life around us, I think it takes a big effort. I think you do. And I think what I learned from her is that it seems to be something that's always churning in her mind. Like, how am I going to choose to look at this? Am I going to choose to look at this as a lesson to get me to the next step? Or am I going to choose to look at this as something that's going to, push me down? What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I thought it was fascinating that it is, like you said, top of mind for her. Does this make me happy? Will this make me happy? It's top of mind for her. And I don't know if it's a generational thing, because I don't remember reading anywhere or hearing anywhere that I had any right to be happy.
That's so
right?
funny.
I read and learned that I have a right to work hard and make a good living and to contribute. In fact, not only do I have a right to that, but I am obligated to do those things. But I don't recall ever somebody asking me, does this make you happy? Are you happy? It just never crosses my mind. And so I wonder if this is generational. I'm a baby boomer. She's a young woman where happiness has become a greater focus than maybe it was in my generation. It's just a thought. I don't know.
That's so interesting, because I couldn't tell you what kind of discussions we had about happiness. I mean, we were always told we could be anything we wanted to be or do anything we wanted to do. But I don't know that it was in the context of happiness. I'm going to have to think about it. And now I want to go around asking people. I want to ask my parents, like, was that your thing? I mean, did y'all talk about that growing up? Or I doubt it. I don't see that happening. And, my ex-husband's mother, he was the youngest, the seventh of 8. So his mother was older than my parents, and she grew up Depression era. So, she did things like save tinfoil and save, Ziploc bags and wash them out and reuse them. And I don't think happiness was a huge part of her experience for lots of reasons, but I also don't think that was in her mindset really. So I think it is very interesting how you prioritize that in the way that you live your life. I mean, would you say that in general, you're a happy person? You're always pretty optimistic and positive.
Hey, I got you fooled, girl. So I think I am naturally happy, but it's not in my thought processes at all. Contribution is, and because contribution for me is tied into the more I contribute, the more I can impact, the more I can help others, I get joy and happiness from that. But I don't ask myself or think about, what are some additional ways I could be happy? It just never crosses my mind, right? But, our Constitution says we have a right to pursue happiness, and seems like maybe
then I think we should.
We did.
Well, and I think in a time like this, which is really not happened in our lifetimes, where with pandemic and being isolated and economic ups and downs and political strife everywhere, I think that we're all feeling the heaviness of that at different times. And I have found myself having to, do physical things to just relieve stress because I hold it all in my body in different ways. And the whole tornado of joy thing came, it's been a struggle of a year. And personally, I've had a struggle for a few years. And because I think I'm generally a happy person, like my baseline is pretty happy. But so much of it, it's hard to maintain that when you've got these outside forces trying to make you unhappy. So I think that at different times and in phases of life, you probably have to focus on it more. I think if you're just trucking along and things are going okay, your baseline is what it is. I'm a basically happy person. And in these times of difficulty, I think sometimes you have to make it more of a priority in your mind and in your day and in your life, and do the things that keep you healthy, both physically and mentally. So maybe it's kind of a sliding scale thing. Like you think about it when you have to, when you're struggling to get it.
Yeah, but that brings up a whole nother topic, because you said tornado of joy, and then we're talking happiness,
right?
Because joy is a state of mind, right? Mm-hmm. Where happiness, as you pointed out, oftentimes is situational, depending on the financial situation or a health situation or relational situation. So outside influences can somewhat affect our happiness, but that state of joy is not dependent, at least this is my opinion, based on circumstances. We can be joyful in a pandemic. We can be joyful.
Right.
So I think the less reactive we are to situations, that does it or he or that doesn't make me happy. I am, as you pointed out, a happy person. And these things just happen to be happening, but they should not be affecting our overall peace and well-being and sense of joy. So,
yeah. One of my favorite quotes from Steel Magnolias is when, I think it's Dolly Parton says, laughter through tears is my favorite emotion. So even that's at a funeral. So you can find joy even at a funeral. I mean, you can, have those moments where the levity brings you out of something painful or something. So it's an interesting time. And I think it's definitely an interesting conversation. We could probably talk about it more and more.
And we should. And if anyone has any thoughts or opinions on happiness versus joy, and how you keep in top of mind this pursuit of happiness and how it's affecting or not affecting you, we would love to hear it. And for now, of course, we got to wrap up the Ask Beck and Liz. We thank you for joining us today, where passion and purpose collide and profits are made and relationships are forged. This is Beck and Liz signing off and wishing you another purpose-filled and profitable week.